Around 100,000 people have fled their homes in Western Canada amid heavy flooding. Torrential rain and flood waters have washed away roads and bridges and caused landslides in the province of Alberta. Communities around Calgary, Alberta's largest city, have been particularly badly hit, with a state of emergency declared in a large area to the south. Well, on the line is Kevin Heinrichs, who lives in Calgary, not far from the worst affected area. Thanks for joining us. You're about, 13 kilometres away from the centre of Calgary. What's the situation like where you are?
Well, it's a steady rain today. Looking outside, we're seeing a fair bit of rainfall. It's not so much, from what I understand, the rainfall that's falling in the city. It's what's been falling in the mountains to the west of us. So that rain has been falling much more heavily out there. So all of that rain hits the Bow River and ends up in Calgary, which is why we're seeing such huge volumes in the rivers here.
And of course, that can be a threat to drinking water supplies around the city. I understand that yesterday you had to help your sister-in-law.
Yeah, that's right. So I got a phone call from my wife who said that her brother and sister-in-law were trapped at a hospital in a town called High River. The flooding had come up very quickly there. It's fair to describe it as a flash flood there. So it came up so quickly that he had driven to the hospital, and by the time he got out of the car, the way that he had come was flooded, and he couldn't get back out, and in fact had to drive up on the curb. So I drove out there to see if I can get them out of there, and they ended up being trapped and having to be rescued by canoe and then by helicopter to the edge of town where they could get a ride out.
We're seeing your pictures of that now, obviously very dramatic, and that shows just how extensive the floodwaters are.
It's unbelievable. If you walking down that street and being at the edge of the water there, people were coming out of their houses, wading through the water. Those that were, those that could, and others were being brought in out by heavy machinery and by boats. And a number of people said, "I've lost everything. It's all gone." So people didn't even really have time to collect a suitcase in some cases, and some people, of course, have mobility issues, so they were being helped out as best they could. But it was quite a situation, very sad.
Emergency response been like? I gather extra police have been drafted in.
That's right. Here in Calgary, like you mentioned, there's quite a broad evacuation area in the downtown, which is right close to the river there. So between 75 and 100,000 people are affected by that. So it's a mandatory evacuation that they went through last night with loudspeakers and asked everyone to leave, and also to mark their doors with an X so that those who the authorities who go by know there's nobody left in that house. So in order to protect those areas, they brought in an extra, from what I understand, 100 police officers from Edmonton, which is 3 hours north of here, to come and patrol that area to help with security.
Kevin Heinrichs from Calgary, thank you very much. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, in Switzerland,